Billionaire Wilbur Ross says he's ready to go all the way to buy the Stuyvesant Town-Peter Cooper Village apartment development. Future ownership of Manhattan's biggest apartment complex is in doubt. Owners Tishman Speyer and BlackRock said yesterday they'll turn over control to lenders after missing a debt payment. Ross says he and his partners are prepping a proposal for the 80-acre property. Continuing our coverage of this story, we are joined right now by someone who predicted Tishman Speyer and BlackRock would lose control of Stuy Town. He has been a broker and a property consultant to corporations for nearly 5 decades, and he's with us now to talk to us about what might be the next step in this real estate saga. Ken Laub is the founder and CEO of Kenneth Laub and Company. We're so glad to have you with us on set. Thanks so much for coming into the newsroom. So, what do you think is the most likely scenario? Does Wilbur Ross get this huge Manhattan property we all know and love?
Well, first of all, we just ended Chapter 1. We're starting Chapter 2. Let's assume we're going to play at least 8 or 9 chapters before we know the answer. Let me back up a minute. Jeffrey Aronson, Centerbridge, Wilbur Ross are extraordinarily talented debt and equity financing experts. They're billionaires. They have combined with Richard LeFrak, who comes from real estate stock going back to his father, Sam LeFrak, and Sam's father. They've been in the real estate development business for 100 years. They're very talented, substantial people. This is a very formidable combination. They could be major players, but they're just at the beginning of this process, and there's a long way to go. Other players are going to surface who are going to be competing, and they're just starting to discuss how they're going to restructure debt and who they're going to play with. The first thing that has to be done is to stabilize the management of that project.
So give us a sense of timing. I mean, when you say stabilize the management, how long will that take? And then how long will it take to see other interested parties being shaken out of the bushes?
Yeah, a lot of the mortgagees and debt holders have already written down their debt, and I expect a lot more will shortly. I believe there will be discussions between the mezzanine holders and the debt holders, and sometime within the next 30 to 60 days, you will see some of them fall by, and others come in who say they're interested in buying, just like Wilbur Ross has. Let's back up again. Stabilize the management first, then bring in different players, determine what Freddie and Fannie Mae are going to do in this project, and determine also how the players, that is the people who live there, how they're going to participate. You could end up seeing this thing in a prepackaged bankruptcy, and at the end of the day, some of the residents there may be buying their apartment for 35% of less what they would have when Tishman Speyer had it.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, it's asking you to look into a crystal ball and speculate, but you have years under your belt of experience. I mean, what do you think is the end case scenario? I heard you say we have, 7 or 8 innings to go.
Sure. But
what is the most likely scenario with this property?
A combination of parties getting together to work out a prepackaged bankruptcy.
All right. I want to shift gears a little bit. You and I were talking before the break here and speaking about the Volcker rule. If, in fact, some part of it is institutionalized in the markets, what does that mean for real estate?
All right. I want you to pretend that the pie of New York City, which is the financial capital of our country, if not the world, contains somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 million square feet. 500,000 jobs are in the financial service sector. I want you to imagine that there's a Chinese wall set because Mr. Obama...
Which is the way that it was until 1999.
Bingo. And I want you to imagine he goes back on some variation of the same theme and causes proprietary trading and investment banking to be separated again. Well, that will mean that a lot of these major property owners or investment banking firms will have to deal with the possibility that they won't have the same functions in the same building. They'll be moving around left and right. Brookfield will be applauding because maybe Merrill Lynch will stay downtown instead of moving up to the Bank of America building. 383 Madison Avenue, where Bear Stearns may no longer be a building that's applicable to J.P. Morgan.
So there's actually a physical consequence. It could turn everything upside down, topsy-turvy.
Let me make an observation. This town charges approximately $15 per square foot in average real estate taxes. That is approximately 3 times the national average and 5 times what they charge in northern New Jersey. We need the financial service sector to support our economy. If all of a sudden we're splitting them up, people may be losing jobs. It's going to create a tremendous disruption in New York. This is not what we want to have happen.
Ken, we're so glad you came in to talk to us. Thank you so much. Ken Laub there from Kenneth Laub and Company.